LPT. Some of your friends need to be explicitly invited to stuff. Some of your friends need to be invited to stuff if you're someone who just does things like going to the movies or a bar as a group or whatever. Some of your friends will think that you don't want them there unless you explicitly encourage them to attend. This will often include people who have been purposely excluded or bullied in their younger years. Invite your shy friends places. They aren't being aloof. They just don't feel welcome unless you say so.
I wouldn't turn up to any gathering without an invite. I would consider it rude to show up without an invite. But that's me.
My buddy got really at me one night. Couldn't figure out why, so I asked what I tells me I blew off his dinner invite when he came to had no clue he invited me. I thought he was just mentioning that he was in town getting neat explicit, hey, you want to go do or I'm not forcing myself into the situation.
I feel this. I will voice and say if you want to hang out just shoot me a text or something and if I can go I'll go. I usually don't have much going. Yeah, I suffered a lot of neglect and bullying as a child and really don't know who my people are, so I kinda latch on at the moment who gives me attention. Then when they're gone I try not to bother them.
Some friends and I are going to the movies this Tuesday versus some friends and I are going to the movies this Tuesday, want to come along, makes a huge difference. Now the person you're speaking to has a clear invitation to come along.
Everyone hates the person who invited themselves to places they weren't invited to. So people need to stop assuming that all the people in their social circle will just show up to whatever event if they weren't told to come. Unless completely oblivious, most people don't want to be seen as that person. I've gone to parties I was not invited to because my other friends were invited, so they invited me. And I was clearly not wanted there when I arrived. So, yeah, unless I am specifically told I am invited, I am not going.
Spot on about the bullying. I was bullied as a kid and it's led to me being a very shy person with no self-confidence. There is no way I am going to show up at an event if I'm not asked to be there. Don't want to walk into a trap.
This LPT is entirely accurate. I am that friend.
When I was a kid, I wasn't really invited to things after the age where the entire class is invited to birthday parties. I had some friends I guess, but we only really talked or hung out in school. Even today, now that I have a lot of awesome friends who include me in stuff, I feel like I'll be bothersome if I tag along and feel the need to get permission to come to stuff.
Ask versus guess strikes again. It amazes me how many of our social problems are caused by this one concept.
Remember, you can come if you want. Doesn't sound like you want him to come. It sounds like you're trying to be polite even though you don't really want them. I'll like you to come if you can. Let someone know you want them there, but there's also no obligation.
If I am not invited to something, I don't go. After I retired, I found out that my coworkers thought that for 24 years I was too good to go to their parties. I had this thrown up to me recently at Costco when I ran into a former coworker. I pointed out that I was never invited and they told me that everyone knew about the parties, so why didn't I go? He never understood my insistence for an invitation and we did not part on good terms. What the absolute?
Once in college, I came across a page for a Facebook event, party at someone's apartment, that several friends had received invites to but not me. I was burnt about it for months and eventually mentioned it to one of the people who went, who said she didn't know what I was talking about and of course I should have gone if I wanted the point entirely. When you were the kid who got precisely 0 invites to anyone's parties in high school, you don't go anywhere unless you are explicitly asked to. Otherwise, in your mind, you're just setting yourself up for embarrassment.
To my experience, some people will not respond when you group invite compared to inviting them privately. Maybe they're shy or they don't feel like the invite was necessarily intended towards them. Either way, finding out new quirks about new, old friends can be a fun thing, so I enjoy going through the process, but I don't imagine a lot of people do.
It's like consent, but for parties.
Somewhat recently we lost a friend to suicide, I believe for this reason. He was such a weird, in a good way, dude that I guess a lot of people believed he was just doing his own thing like the rest of us. Obviously hindsight shows he was bummed the large group of us quit hanging at our usual spot after we all found people to stick to. Man, what I wouldn't give to go back and tell him to just let me know if he wanted to do anything. Sit on my couch, I miss him.
I know it says invite your shy friends, but I want to say, invite your extroverted friends too. Many of us have also been through trauma too.
I agree and am like this, but I remember a friend told me argues friend who even if he was in a group chat, that was like a friend chat not a school, work chat, and someone sent a text inviting people to whatever, he would nt go unless you texted him personally asking him to go, then he'd answer in chat.
I'm sorry. Do you just expect people to show up places you don't invite them?
Same here, man. Some of the other commenters here are explaining what I mean better than I did.
Yeah, I hated when my friends used to invite me to stuff that I wasn't explicitly invited to. I never understood how people could be so brazen about stuff like that. It's extremely rude, but some people think that stuff is just completely flexible, I guess you would say.
My kids do this. So and so are going to the movies tomorrow night at our, so I started replying with, is there a question in there, or are you just telling me about so and so since I know them?
I've found in my mid-30s the only way to cut through the noise of life is to make explicit and clear plans, set date, time and place. Bonus points for juggling your friends of my friend group would have seen one another this year if not for me. At a time I felt resentment towards this, but now I just don't give a. I have accepted my role as the friend beacon and initiator. I'm not so lonely anymore.
I lost a friend like this. He would always get super mad and ignore me. Finally did it for the last time, and we don't talk anymore. I never knew what I later. A friend of that friend told me I never wanted to take him up on his hangout ideas, so he dropped me as I was pretty shocked at that, because he never invited me anywhere. He would tell me like, got my wife and I tickets to a concert this guess he wanted me to go. But I figured he was going as a date with his wife.
All the homies saying, WTF are you talking about? Please check out these types of examples. Buddy, I'm so sorry that happened.
Hi, me. Bullied throughout school. Changed schools 3x. Plus including going back to the original for a spell, between 4th and 5th grade. Tumultuous childhood due to a parent I have a hard time recognizing if I'm explicitly allowed to tag along or not. I've gotten better, but still miss cues.
For real, I wasn't neglected by my parents, but I was ostracized by a lot of my peers as a kid. Being the only chubby girl at my school meant everyone got to channel that intense late 90s, early people hate towards me, and only I lost all the weight, too much weight, and became the freaky skeleton girl. Wasn't till college I found people who seemed to want to be around me, but I didn't trust it, so I never pushed to hang out with. I found one person who finally was like, her, coming literally everywhere with me. I was infatuated with her, so I listened. I finally got over that feeling of not wanting to intrude. Now I try to pay it forward, specifically invite everyone in the group individually, and actively look at and listen to someone who's talking, and don't let people cut them off.
Yep, I'm that friend. I voice that my door is always open if they need a place to go when they're in a low place, cus they're going through a breakup, etc. I tell them their schedule is more complicated than mine, so let me know if they want to hang out. I don't like being a bother, cus I've grown up being told I'm a bother. So I just don't let myself be a bother first to protect myself. Sucks that I do that to myself. I'm working on it.
I recently heard, an open invite isn't an invitation, or something like used to me off that people acted like I didn't want to do something, when I had no knowledge about it. Lol. It's like, dude, you guys plan to do a thing, don't assume the universe will send a story short, I do nothing anymore. 'Cause people.
I don't understand why so many people here are making this an introverted person problem. Life pro tip: invite people if you want them to show up.
I honestly think I'm the one inviting people and making events because I'm afraid I would be excluded otherwise. It's so hard getting free of the mindset that I'm only as good as I am valuable, and the second I'm not valuable anymore, my friendship will vaporize.
That's literally telling someone what you're going to do Tuesday versus actually inviting them.
Yeah, if someone said the first one to me, I'd take the lack of invitation as, I'm going to the movies this Thursday and I don't want you, then I'd end up saying something along the lines of, oh, that sounds fun, I've been meaning to see that, in the hopes that they will invite me. Sort of like vampires, haha.
When I went to college out of town, I thought it would be a good chance to kind of reinvent myself and be more outgoing. I've always had some social anxiety along with being the introverted type with a small group of close friends. The day we moved into the dorms, I chickened out and went to sleep early after I didn't really click with the first few people I met. The next night, I met these guys on my floor that seemed to be my vibe. I asked what they were doing that night. They said they were going to hit up a party and I asked to tag along. They looked at each other with awkward smiles and said, "Well, we aren't really set on anything." And they said they had to go. I knew I was that person, and it definitely knocked me down a peg or two. Since classes hadn't started yet, there were some activities on campus I decided to check out. I went to the gym where they were having a dodgeball tournament in the racquetball courts. I peeked in and some random dude pointed to me and said, "Hey, wanna form a team?" It was a blast with a crowd watching on, rattling the see-through wall, cameras flashing, music blaring. After we lost in spectacular fashion, we got separated in the crowd surrounding the other games so I couldn't catch that guy's name. At least I got my confidence back. Thanks, random dodgeball guy.